Hello everybody, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I've got a bunch of packages, so let's have a mailbag. My mailbags may not be the best ones onto internet, but I do at least have some range, and this one, like usual, will have some range. I'm trying to keep my address out of this one, but I'll keep slicing away. So I hope everything's going well with you guys. Just got back from the gym. It's 5:20 in the morning. Got a shower and struggling with some packages here. Goodness. There we go. Okay, these are... Oh, okay, that's cool. I thought these were regular chip sockets. I was a little concerned because I've been buying... it's kind of amazing how much I've gone through in terms of chip sockets since I got a sponsorship. And I've also learned that it's just not worth my time to not socket these chips because I wind up spending so much time doing diagnostics. But these aren't what you'd call chip sockets. These are female headers. And let's see here. Usually they're oh, actually, here's a pin. I'll grab this. So these things are kind of a pain in the butt. When you have the male headers, you can just kind of break them off or cut them wherever you want. But when you have these ones, if you cut them, a lot of times you have to kind of cut in the middle of two. Let me get up here. You have to cut in the middle of a row of pins. And then even then, sometimes this last pin will fall out and you may not notice it or something like that. Here's a pin on my desk that's fallen out from when I was building, I don't know, some other card around here. But so ideally, if you can have these things in the right size, that's the way to go. But I've only basically had the ones that came for free with WeMOS boards and stuff like that. So I ordered these little kits and they were pretty cheap. And you've got 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s. And, you know, this looks like 40. I don't know. It's a lot. But, you know, I'm not going to have every size possible, but I'll have most sizes of these. And that's going to be kind of a game changer for me to just be able to put the right size into the project and not have to cut them. The other thing is when you cut them, even if you do cut them properly to where the last pin doesn't fall out, like a lot of times you wind up with enough of that last one left that something can plug into it and stuff like that. This way you can choose if I want to cut the pin off on the bottom and maybe put some glue in there or something to make sure I don't go over one, and just it gives you options, and options are good when you're doing this stuff. This stuff is hard enough when you don't have options, so now I have options. I had to get up for a second, so I figured I'd double check. But these kits wound up being $12.69 for the both of them, or you can get a single kit for $11 off Amazon. Have it in a couple of days, so not bad. I'm also impressed that the packages didn't get destroyed. Okay, I think I know what this is. So one of the things you'll see on some of these packages is I've been fixing some floppy drives and cassette decks, and the belts just disintegrate. And despite the amount of gloves and towels and stuff I put on, that crap is everywhere in my office. So that kind of sucks because it sticks to everything. This is not related to electronics, so I'll make it quick. But these are Presta bike tubes. And I've talked about Presta valves several times on the channel. So I'm just going to open one up because I kind of want you to see this. These valves are a little different. It's going to be a little pain. So you want to make sure they're like still feel fresh. But they have these skinny valves, and these valves also come in different lengths. And I've learned to just go ahead and buy the longer ones. Some of my rims have deeper dishes than other ones, and so you can go through all the trouble of changing the tire and then realize that the valve doesn't stick out long enough to use it. So yeah, you just unscrew this thing, and then you don't need the cap or anything. It can be locked like this, or you unscrew this little doohickey and then you can push that down and air will go in around it. So I got 4 of them. My wife got a flat, and so I'm going to change both of her tires because her tubes are fairly old. You know, these things do have a shelf life. I mean, they're, you know, she's probably about 10 years since she's gotten a flat. So I'm replacing both of her tubes, which is long overdue. And they do come in different widths, and so this one just happens to span the different ranges of all of our tires. So I run 28, she runs 25. So you know, they go 25 to 32. So that's like the width of the tire. So anyway, these cover both of our tires. So she'll get 2, I'll get 2, and we'll get to the next item. All right, so open this one up. We got more AliExpress stuff coming, don't worry. This is GeeekPi 0.96. So I always say that I don't do YouTube recreations, but I'm going to do a YouTube recreation. This is a 5-pack of these little OLED screens, and I did a crappy job explaining them the first time, so rather than pretending, I'm just going to go ahead and open up another one. These are little I2C OLED organic OLED, LED screens, I believe, that are, what's it say on here? They are 0.96 inches, so just teeny tiny screens, and although the holder looks square, the screen itself is rectangular, and I use these a lot for when I modify floppy drives or floppy drive emulators to display what's up on the screen, and I'll display what track we're on and stuff like that. These may not be the ones I need for my next application, but they are relatively cheap and they're useful in a lot of different things. So there's like a 5-pack of these for about $10, and so that's not bad at all. Yeah, so anyway, I got a little assortment of 5 of these things, and it comes with some wires, and yeah, those are little OLED screens. All right, we're gonna open up one of those multi AliExpress orders, and I'm sure my address is gonna be all over the place, so I'm probably just gonna cut to these things all being out and facing the right direction. Okay, so we've got 5 little packages inside this thing, and make sure we're not gonna cut anything. And let's slice this open. These are resistor networks, and I honestly can't remember what these are for, but the idea is these are resistors that are connected together so that you get them as like a 10K, and it will be 10K times the number of pins minus 1. So one of these will be ground, and then everything else is just a bunch of little 10K resistors. And depending on the project, they get wired together differently, but and they do have a polarity, which you can see right there. That little dot matters because that, I believe, is the ground. And so these can be crazy expensive, and a lot of times the ones I need can't be purchased on AliExpress, but I got lucky, and the one I needed was available on AliExpress, so I bought a bunch of them, and you'll be seeing those in an upcoming project. Next up, these are, okay, so these are, before I bought those other kits, I got these sets of headers, and these are actually, if I'm not mistaken, these are exactly the ones I need for a particular project. I should just go ahead and check. So I mentioned that in addition to wanting the specific ones, one of the ones I didn't have the right size for were these Olimex ESP32 PoE ISO boards. I use these things all the time, and in the boards I've made, they have a certain header size, and I think it was only like $4 to get, I think, 100 of the ones that I use on this. So I just went ahead and bought an entire pack so I didn't deplete my multi-pack. And that's kind of the way I think you should do these things. You buy the multi-pack, so you have an assortment, and then when you find yourself using a lot of 220 ohm resistors or whatever, then you buy 1,000 220 ohm resistors and keep your assortments intact. And so I use a lot of these boards. I've been cutting up so many of my headers to make these things work, and so now I have just an entire package of these things where I'll probably never run out of them. Well, hopefully business will be so great that I'll run out of them next year, but we'll see. So these are the I don't know, what are they, I think 10-pin headers that are just fixed. All right, let's open up another one. So I do actually use this stuff. I don't know if you guys think I'm just a giant hoarder, and maybe I am, but a giant hoarder. So okay, these are 2 0603 capacitor kits, and again, like I was saying before, when I buy something, I'll get an assortment that I find myself using a lot of them, I will switch it out for something else. And I have some retro project where I'm doing some PCBs in the soldering, in the toaster oven again, and I needed a bunch of 0603 stuff, and I think I've got a couple multi-packs coming in, but these are capacitors, and it just made sense. It's like $2 to get to get, what is it, 720 pieces here. And so a lot of times I'll get like what I can get with free shipping, so I wound up getting 2 of them, and now I've got 40 of every value. And so these will probably just stay like this in these little packages, and then as I start using them more, I'll start jotting down what I'm using. Like, I know I'm going to use a whole bunch of one value, so I might order more of that specific value and replenish the kits, but for now these are fine just staying in a bag like this. This feels like it could be similar. I had bought a bunch of 1206. Oh yeah, here we go. So these are 0603 resistors. So now I have 3 packs of resistors and 2 packs of capacitors, and these are 1,500. So 4,500 resistors, which is just ridiculous. But again, you go to Mauser or something like that, I'd pay more for 100 of them from Mauser than I would from but just getting, you know, what is it, 4,500 of them here, and I've got plenty of variety that can at least let me start my project, and then again I'll reorder what I use. All right, this one's got my address kind of all over it, so let's just get it open, get it out. Okay. Oh yes, I've been waiting on these. These are, in a previous video, I bought a whole bunch of male headers, and these are quality. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it open. These are quality female headers. And these are, I think they call them machine turned or something like that, but as opposed to the ones that are kind of like two little wedges, these are actual like circles, and these are kind of the primo headers, although they're a little arched. They do kind of bend, but these are, I think, 100 of these headers. And the nice thing about this, what I've kind of learned, is occasionally I'll need a socket size that I don't have, and I'll just make my own socket out of these. So for instance, I had to replace a 40 pin chip, and I don't stock 40 pin sockets. Like, I use them, you know, once a year or twice a year. So instead I just made a 40 pin socket out of two of these, and, or I guess one of these broke in half, and just kind of made my own socket. These don't look quite as high of quality as you know, it just looks like there's a little bit of variation in the manufacturing, but they are kind of better than the other ones, and you can make your own sockets. So these are DIY sockets that can also double as just standard female headers, and yeah, they generally make really good contact, which is why you want this kind. And I got a pile of them. Now, I paid up for these. I believe this was 20 bucks for the whole thing, but compared to ordering a single 40 pin socket when I need them, or ordering every kind of socket on the face of the earth, it just kind of felt like a bargain, because now I always have the right size socket. Even if I had to put two of these together, I could make a 60 or 80 pin socket. So I mean, you know, plenty of room for standard sockets. I do have another AliExpress package back here, but I'll go ahead and open up a couple of other things. I got this at Direct Tools. This is a little, ooh, I might have sliced it. This is a little X-Acto knife. I don't think that this is going to be my new package opening knife or anything like that, but I kind of like, I didn't slice it. I kind of like the, I wish I had a blade in it. I kind of like the form factor of this thing. I'll have to read it. It's got some options. I think it's got like some blade storage in the handle, which is kind of cool. Let's go ahead and take it out of the package. I got some time. Work can wait. So I probably should have bought more blades, but these use generic X-Acto knife blades. So I'm fine, but let's just go ahead and grab one. I kind of like the bigger handle. I mean, I've got kind of bigger hands, so it's nice to have kind of a chunkier knife. Now, that's not enough to just grip it like that, right? That is! Look at that. You bend this thing in half, and that's how you, let me do it again. You bend the thing in half. Which way does it go? This way, and that's what locks the blade. That's kind of interesting. Again, I'm not going to use this thing for heavy usage, and I've got utility knives all over my office. Maybe that's not blade storage down there. But this is kind of neat to have a little detailed knife mate. Sometimes I'm getting you know, filament off of projects and things like that, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to have a little you know, chunkier knife. So anyway, I got a little X-Acto knife. It was like, I think like $8 or $9. It wasn't cheap, but just, you know, I like Ryobi, and I thought it was kind of fun. I basically very rarely buy Ryobi bits, but these were on sale, and my screw extractors that I had were very old, like they're Craftsman screw outs from the 90s or something like that. And last time I went to use them, they just didn't have any bite. I expect these things will probably work for about 3 or 4 uses, but I decided to pick up a pack just so I have some newer, fresher ones in the event that I need them. I use them maybe every 2 or 3 years. It's not like I ever really need them, but when you need them, I've definitely had them save me before. This came in another package that I already had to open, but I thought I'd just point this out. So what's really cool about this thing is it's supposed to be a really good bit holder. This is the first one I've got, but it also on Amazon ships same day. So like, you know, you'll see the thing where if you have an order and it's like, you know, if you order $25, we'll ship between 10 to 3 p.m. and that's awesome. But a lot of times, like, I needed some filament and it was $24.99, so not enough to get same day shipping, and I really wanted it that day. Well, these things are $3 and ship same day. So if I ever need a filler item to kind of bump bump me up. Shipping would be $3 to get it same day, or I can get this. So this has kind of been, I think, going to be my go-to item for shipping same day when I need a little bit of a bonus there. And again, they're supposed to be really good. I'm gonna put one to the test, and I'll let you know what I think. Let's test it out. So we've got the Ryobi knife, got one more, what I believe is probably AliExpress package. Could be eBay. Open this up. Ooh, that feels weird. Oh, okay. These are CPLDs, and I've had these before in a mailbag video, 10 of them, and they are for the RGB to HDMI. So I did one project, and I think I'm still going to be 1 or 2 short to populate all the boards I have, but I did an RGB to HDMI shield in the toaster oven, and I have a different style. So now I got some more of these things, and so I've got 10 more boards and 10 more chips, and I think yeah, I think I'm still going to be a couple short because I have a couple left of the old ones, but this will get me going on that project. So these chips get soldered on. I'll use the toaster oven, and then they have to be programmed. So they're almost like an FPGA, but not quite. So, all right, last but not least, something I had to pay up for. This is from eBay, and I really went back and forth on if I was going to buy this or not. And I did, and most of you guys won't care, but some of you may. This is a power supply, and this is a TRS-80 model 4D 4P power supply. It's kind of cool. It's I wish I could find the schematics to just get one from PCBWay, but it is a Meanwell 65 watt power supply, and then a secondary Meanwell, I don't remember what wattage power supply. It's funny they don't solder those headers on there for you. So this thing is what's this? This is a 65. So the Meanwells, just so you know, when you look at them, so RT, the T means triple, RD is double. I don't remember, the other ones might be S for single. And then this is the overall total wattage. So they've got 65, 125, 85, 135, stuff like that. And it's a little, you know, it's a little weird to do these things because, like, this can put out 5 amps of 5 volts, 12 amps, or 2.8 amps at 12 volts, and then 0.5 amps at negative 12 volts, which is where the triple comes from. But the total is still 65 watts. So you have to be careful to make sure that you don't overload one particular part of the bus, or it won't work properly. And so this thing was made by this guy, and the main reason why I got this, I had been replacing, oh, I've actually got one here. This is what the standard power supply looks like, and he made it fit on the existing mounting holes. And the other thing is that it uses the standard connectors. So on this one, I don't actually have to cut any connectors. If I put my own Meanwell on there, sometimes I'll just wire one of these straight through. I have some 85s, and I'll have to sit there and cut the different connectors, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. But if I'm diagnosing something, I kind of want to have one that I can just plug the existing harness in. So what I'm going to do with this, I've actually got 4 of these computers that I've been fixing. One's completely fixed, but the other 3, I'm going to use this power supply to sort of test everything, and then when I'm done, this will go in the one computer that I'm actually keeping. And as you can see here, it's got some extra places to put some 5-volt connectors for the GoTech and this hard drive option. So yeah, this is a little bit of blobby solder up top. You know, I could sit down a little bit better, and I kind of would have liked to have seen these populated. I don't really know what the advantage, he gave me the parts, but I don't really know what the advantage would be to not populate those. So yeah, I don't really get that part, but anyway, yeah, it looks okay. I mean, better than I would have done. So you know, there is the power supply. So anyway, that is what I got from this mailbag, and I appreciate you guys watching. Of course, I've got the links in the description, so if you want to order any of this stuff, I primarily do Amazon links because the AliExpress stuff just changes so often. Every time I make a link, I just get a bunch of people asking me for the right link, so I'm just not going to put a lot of time into that. But for the most part, Amazon links are there at least, and if you want to buy it off AliExpress, you have a good look at what the product is first. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching, and have a great day.